If you haven't seen the first part of this movie, go ahead and watch it before diving into this one, or else you may not fully grasp the plot. The link can be found in the description below. The story opens with a glimpse into Peter's past when he was young and had first created the android robot David. Peter and David are the same characters that we witnessed in the previous part. David inquires Peter about his father, to which Peter responds that he is his father as he had created him. David further asks then who had created Peter, to which Peter replies that they have been searching for the answer to that question for centuries, but they haven't yet found it. However, Peter hopes that they will eventually find out about the creator of humans and their whereabouts. Then the scene shifts to 2104, which is 11 years after the launch of the previous spaceship, Prometheus. We are shown a spaceship named Covenant, soaring through space, carrying 15 crew members, 2,000 passengers, and 1,140 human embryos. The destination of this spaceship is a planet called Aurigae 6, which will take them 7 years to reach. In reality, Earth has suffered from severe pollution, prompting humans to seek new settlements on other planets. All the passengers and crew members on the spaceship are in sleeping pods, except for Walter, who is a robot. While Walter looks exactly like David, he is an upgraded version designed to be less mysterious than David, and more capable of assisting humans. Next, we witness the spaceship colliding with a powerful radiation wave, causing significant damage and leading to the malfunction of several sleeping pods. One by one, the occupants start waking up. Unfortunately, some individuals inside the sleeping chambers have died, including the ship's captain and Daniel's husband, Jack. Due to the captain's death, Orm assumes command of the ship. Upon investigation, they discover that due to the incident, 47 passengers and 11 embryos have perished, and the ship has sustained 17% damage. They decide to repair the ship and manage to fix it with great difficulty, with 2 crew members venturing outside. Upon returning to the ship, one of the crew members notices some strange radio signals inside his helmet. After entering the ship, they decode the radio signal, which turns out to be a tune from the famous singer John Denver, leaving everyone shocked. Then, one of the crew members reveals that this signal is coming from a nearby planet, that is only a few weeks away from their current location, and its environment is even cleaner than Aurigae 6. It's quite astonishing how the company overlooked this planet. Subsequently, the captain decides that instead of returning to sleep and heading to Aurigae 6, it's preferable to settle on this nearby planet, which is only a few weeks away, and establish a colony there. However, Daniels finds it all quite strange that their spaceship experienced a sudden malfunction, leading them to chance upon this seemingly perfect planet that emits signals of John Denver's songs. Daniels wanted to go to Aurigae 6, but none of the crew members were willing to go back to sleep in the sleeping pods. Eventually, they reach near the planet, and some of the crew members land on the planet in their mini-spacecraft to gather information before unloading the main spaceship. They set out towards the source of the signal, emanating from the mountains at a distance of approximately 5 miles. However, one crew member remains in the ship to quickly take off and rescue if needed. Among them, Ledward and Karina pause midway to collect samples of the planet's soil. Unfortunately, Ledward accidentally steps on a peculiar egg-like object, releasing small organisms that enter his body through his ears. On the other side, we witness the remaining crew members, including the captain and Daniels, arriving at the location from where the signals were emanating. Upon reaching there, it turns out to be not just any random place, but the very same spaceship that David and Shaw had used to travel to the engineer's planet. Upon entering the spaceship, one of the crew members unintentionally touches a plant, resulting in microscopic organisms entering his body as well. Inside the spaceship, Daniels discovers Shaw's ID and a photograph. Walter informs Daniels that Shaw was part of the crew of the Prometheus spaceship, which was launched 11 years ago and later went missing. Subsequently, the captain presses a button on the spaceship, triggering the playback of hologram recordings that depict Shaw singing the song of John Denver. Then we witness Ledward, who had the virus inside him, growing increasingly sick. Karina communicates this wirelessly, urges everyone to promptly return to the ship. Karina struggles to bring Ledward along with her to the medical room on the ship. However, Ledward's condition deteriorates significantly, and something peculiar begins protruding from his back, causing fear in Ferris. Worried that Karina may also get infected due to her close proximity to Ledward, Ferris locks them both inside the room. Despite Karina's begging, Ferris refuses to open the door. Suddenly, Ledward's body tears apart, unleashing a dangerous creature that mercilessly attacks and kills Karina, shattering the glass of the door. The creature stepped out. Ferris fires multiple shots at it but fails to hit the target. Unfortunately, one bullet strikes a cylinder, resulting in the entire ship blowout, leading to Ferris' demise as well. Then, another man who was infected with the virus also falls critically ill, and like Ledward, a menacing creature emerges from his body and vanishes into the surrounding bushes. They attempt to contact their main spaceship, but the intense storm in the sky hampers their communication efforts. After a short while, they find themselves under attack by numerous creatures, and their gunfire proves futile, resulting in the deaths of several crew members. In the midst of the chaos, Walter's hand is severed while trying to protect Daniels. However, in that very moment, a hooded man appears, creating a blazing fire in the sky that causes the creatures to flee, and asks the crew members to follow him. To save their lives, everyone starts following him. Along the way, they come across countless lifeless bodies, victims of the chaos. It is then revealed that the hooded man is none other than David. He reveals that he and Shaw had arrived on the engineers' planet a decade ago, but due to an accident, the virus inside the spaceship was released, resulting in the death of everyone on the planet, including Shaw. David then turns to Walter and asks, "How are you, brother?" Since Walter is also a robot, just like him but an upgraded version. Then, they attempt to establish contact with the spaceship, but due to heavy rainfall, they are unable to establish a connection. Later, we see Walter examining David's belongings in his room, where the walls are covered with David's 10 years worth of research. Just then, David appears in the room. He tells Walter that he has met their creator, whose name is Peter, and that he was the first one created by him. Walter expresses how remarkable it is that humans created them so they could assist them. However, David argues that humans are a flawed species that seeks to thrive again, despite not deserving it. He believes robots are more powerful, intelligent, and deserving. In response, Walter contends that David is just like humans, harboring hatred and resentment. This, he explains, is precisely why the company started producing models like Walter, who are not as mysterious and deceitful as David, but rather exist solely to aid humans without striving to surpass them. Then David says, "Come, let me show you something." The story then goes into a flashback, and we witness the engineers, who have created humans, nature, the black virus, and various other species. However, for some reason, the engineers became resentful towards their own creation, humans, and desired to eliminate them. David had understood that the engineers were the ultimate creators. And if he wanted to become the greatest creator, he would have to eradicate the engineers. That's why he unleashes the biochemical weapon, or the black virus, created by the engineers upon them, resulting in the complete destruction of the entire planet in just a matter of seconds. However, David deceives Walter by falsely claiming that the biochemical weapon accidentally fell from the spaceship and caused the destruction. On the other side, we see a crew member heading to take a shower, but just then, a dangerous creature created by David attacks and kills her. After a while, David arrives at the scene and uses his breath to make the creature perceive his warmth, stating that if one makes a horse feel their breath, it becomes a slave forever. However, the captain appears from behind and kills the creature, which infuriates David. The captain holds David at gunpoint and demands to know what is happening there. David takes him to a secret room and shows him his creations, which he made using the engineer's bioweapon. There are also some eggs present in the room, and David tells the captain that they are worth seeing. As the captain moves forward to take a closer look, one of the eggs hatches, and a creature attacks him, making him unconscious. After a while, when Captain regains consciousness, a new hybrid is born from his abdomen, which is David's latest creation. In reality, for each new creation, David requires a new human body. On the other side, we see Daniels manages to establish contact with the spaceship and urging them to come down to rescue them. Despite the raging storm, the crew members aboard the ship decide to descend and rescue their comrades. On another front, Walter comes across Shaw's dead body, which is in a deteriorated state due to the numerous experiments conducted on her by David. Walter discovers the truth about David, realizing that he himself had killed the engineers and Shaw. Confronting David, Walter engages in a heated conversation, but David cunningly manipulates him and shuts down his system. Then, all of a sudden, a swarm of aliens emerges and launches an attack on the crew. Meanwhile, Daniels also discovers the truth about David, but at that very moment, David sneaks up behind her, with an intention to kill her. A fight ensues between the two, but Walter arrives just in time and saves Daniels. David questions Walter about how he is still functioning, to which Walter explains that significant improvements were made in the models created after David, and they continue to fight. The scene then shifts, and we see the spaceship arrives to rescue their comrades. Everyone rush into the spaceship, including Walter, after killing David. However, one of the creatures manages to hang onto the ship, and Daniel struggles to trap it in a crane and eventually kills it. But a few hours later, the spaceship's AI informs them about an unknown creature present in the spaceship, and shortly after, that creature kills 3 crew members. However, Daniels, Tennessee and Walter cleverly throw the creature into outer space. Now, with only 2 crew members remaining out of the original 15, Daniels and Tennessee, they proceed to repair the spaceship. After completing the repairs, Tennessee settles into his sleeping chamber and falls asleep, while Daniels lies down in her sleeping pod. However, in that very moment, Daniels realizes, from Walter's devious smile, that he is not actually Walter but David, who had been impersonating him all along. Despite this realization, Daniels eventually falls asleep. Following this, we witness David hiding 2 alien embryos in his mouth and storing them alongside the human embryos. His intention is to ensure a sufficient food supply for his aliens creatures once spaceship reaches its destination. And with this scene, movie comes to an end. Part 3 of the movie has not been released yet, but whenever it is, I will make a video on it. Hope you liked the explanation. See you in the next video. Till then, take care and watch out.